Okay, let's grab our seats. My name is Ron. I am an alcoholic. Welcome, everyone. A couple quick announcements. We have Thursday is Thanksgiving. Our sister group, a Big Book Study, meets every Thursday. We will be open. We will be there. The Big Book goes on despite what's going on in the world, right? We have an event here, New Year's Eve, every 7 years, falls on Saturday. We will be here New Year's Eve till 7 p.m. up until 1. It'll be absolutely free. Everybody's included. Of course, there'll be donation supported. If you like to give, you can also, there's a jar in the back, you can donate to that and also throw it into the basket. We provide a lot of services. This group is about service, so the more you give, the more we can give to others. If you like the services that is provided here, please be supportive of it. One thing that we do have are treatment center commitments. If you'd like to get involved with that, see me after the meeting. Every Monday, Tuesday, Friday, and Sunday evening, 7 p.m. in Quakertown. No time requirements, no real requirements to come along and be part of that. It's very helpful. If you've never experienced it, we'd like to share it with you. It's something you must not miss. It's carrying the message to the sick and suffering, and we donated probably 150 to 170 big books free from this group, from your donations and support, to this treatment center in the last 5 months. So it's very powerful, the work I believe that we do here to carry this message to the still sick and suffering, a solution. And with that, I think we got the main things covered. We got the world's best chairperson. Let's welcome Nick up here.
Welcome to the Conscious Contact Speaker Group of Alcoholics Anonymous. My name is Nick and I am an alcoholic. This is a 1-hour speaker meeting. It meets every Saturday evening at St. Paul's Lutheran Church, 301 North Main Street in Doylestown, Pennsylvania. Food and fellowship starts at 8 p.m., followed by our speaker at 8:30. The business meeting for this group meets every Saturday at 7 p.m. to 7:30 right here. Please come early and join us. The purpose of this group is to provide a consistent message of hope and recovery through God reliance and service to others through the practice and teaching of the 12 steps. We record all speakers that others may benefit from their message of recovery. If you wish not to be recorded, simply ask. This is an open meeting of Alcoholics Anonymous, and the group would like to welcome everyone, especially newcomers. Is there anyone new or from out of town that would like to introduce themselves with their first name? Yes, sir.
Hi, I'm Eric. I'm an alcoholic.
Welcome, Eric. All right, welcome to everybody. Are there any announcements for the good of AA? All right, there is an my name's Nick, I'm an alcoholic once again. There's an alcothon in Telford at Hamlin Street at the little clubhouse there on Thanksgiving. It starts at 10 a.m. Speakers on the hour, and if lunch is provided, turkey dinner, and the meeting will go till about 3 o'clock or longer if people want to be there. So if you want information about that, come see me after the meeting. Our sister group is a Big Book Study meeting that meets every Thursday at 7:30 just up the street at the Salem Church. We have meeting lists and big books on easy terms. Please see me or any group member after the meeting. If you cannot afford a big book, the Conscious Contact Speaker Group will give you one at no charge. Anyone willing to make donations for the purchase of big books and CDs to help those that can afford them can put donations in the jar on a table marked Big Book and CD Donations. And all CDs are available free of charge. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel, the Conscious Contact Speaker Group of Doylestown, and our Facebook group. Subscribe and share, and you can find our speakers there. Join our Facebook page to keep informed and share upcoming events and meetings. And now with that, I have Brian to come up and read the AA preamble.
My name is Brian and I'm an alcoholic. This is the AA preamble. Alcoholics Anonymous is a fellowship of men and women who share their experience, strength, and hope with each other that they may solve their common problem and help others to recover from alcoholism. The only requirement for membership is a desire to stop drinking. There are no dues or fees for AA membership. We are self-supporting through our own contributions. AA is not allied with any sect, denomination, politics, organization, or institution, does not wish to engage in any controversy, neither endorses nor opposes any causes. Our primary purpose is to stay sober and help other alcoholics to achieve sobriety. And I have asked Jay to come up and read the AA 12 Steps of Recovery.
My name is Jay and I'm an alcoholic. Hi everybody. 12 steps of recovery. 1, we admitted we were powerless over alcohol, that our lives had become unmanageable. Step 2, came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. Step 3, made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understood Him. Step 4, made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. Step 5, admitted to God, to ourselves, and to another human being the exact nature of our wrongs. Step 6, we're entirely ready to have God remove all these defects of character. Step 7, humbly asked Him to remove our shortcomings. Step 8, made a list of all persons we had harmed and became willing to make amends to them all. Step 9, made direct amends to such people wherever possible, except when to do so would injure them or others. Step 10, continued to take personal inventory, and when we were wrong, promptly admitted it. Step 11, sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God as we understood Him, praying only for knowledge of His will for us and the power to carry that out. And step 12, having had a spiritual awakening as a result of these steps, we tried to carry this message to alcoholics and to practice these principles in all our affairs. And now I'll turn the proceedings back over to the world's best chairperson, Nick.
The 7 tradition. Every AA group ought to be fully self-supporting and declining outside contributions. This time we'd like to pass the baskets. And we have no dues or fees. We do have expenses, and this group provides many services. The donations cover food, rent, big books, CDs, events, and workshops. And just a side note, our CCSG hoodies, our AA swag is in order. It's in the pipeline on the way here, so we're going to have that eventually. And Ron had mentioned, how much service we try to do here, and just for instance, the New Year's Eve celebration, we're trying to get a DJ and maybe some animals, some farm animals to pet, and some other things. So all your donations are greatly appreciated. It's all for free and for fun. So whatever you guys can help out with, that'd be really awesome. Okay, there's absolutely no smoking on church property. Please take a moment to silence all cell phones and limit movement during the meeting to avoid distractions. Now, to introduce our speaker, a good friend of the Conscious Contact Speaker Group. Tonight we have Brett G. from New Jersey, from the Working with Others group.
Hello everyone, my name is Brett. I am an alcoholic. Amen. It's been by the grace of God, 12 steps, 12 traditions, a strong sponsorship. In my particular home group, I have not felt the need to pick up a drink since September 19th, 2016, and for that I'm still learning how to be grateful. You're here. Thank you. I say I'm still learning how to be grateful because that's exactly what I'm doing. AA has taught me how to do so much in my life, and I was always taught that we need to give it back, and I think that gratitude requires action. I think that in order for me to be truly grateful, that I need to give back to AA, and I need to be able to do things like come out on a Saturday night and speak at a speaker's meeting, or a sponsorship, or just lending out a helping hand anywhere. I think anything short of that is just thankfulness. And I am thankful for a lot of things, but in order for me to be truly grateful for AA, that I need to give it back. It's nice to see that some people are wearing suits here. I am from the Working with Others group in Nutcong, New Jersey. We have a speakers meeting that is just like this. We have a podium, we have a microphone, we have a sound system, we have everything that you have here, and it's nice to see something like what I have at home. Up there we get a little bit of guff in the area because we like to wear the suit and tie, or jacket and tie is the requirement. If you're going to be on the podium, you have to wear a jacket and tie. That's what we say. Okay, does that mean that we're not going to let you into the group if you don't have a jacket and tie on? Absolutely not. We want every newcomer, we want every person who has a problem with alcohol or desire to stop drinking to enter those doors and find recovery. There are some people that say, "Oh, well, it's you shouldn't have to wear a suit and tie to get into the meeting." I mean, that's just not the case. What I was told was that back in the 30s, when Bill Wilson was helping form AA. Everybody wore a jacket and tie for everything. Whether that was to get on an airplane or go to a ball game or ride a train, everybody just wore a jacket and tie. It was just what they did at the time. And we've carried that tradition forward because that's where we came from. We came from that time. And so when I came to the group, I saw the jackets and ties. And yeah, I was a little weirded out, but they talked me into wearing it. And then all of a sudden, I had this like old suit. It like didn't fit me very well, and the only times I ever wore it was for a funeral or a court date. It was mostly court, and so I would wear this suit, and it was too baggy on me. It didn't fit me right, but I kept wearing it every Thursday, and then I'd go to the meeting, and life was starting to get better, and my wife took notice of this, and when I celebrated 3 years. She took me to Men's Warehouse, and she spent her hard-earned money on buying me a suit. Now, keep in mind it was buy one get one free, right? But nevertheless, she spent her hard-earned money on this suit and it's the one I'm wearing today, and it's got my name embroidered on the inside, and it's got the custom paisley design, and it's fitted just for me, right? And she took me there, and she took the time out of her day to buy me this suit, and because she knows what the suit represents, right? It doesn't just represent an AA thing for me anymore. It represents a lifestyle. It represents who I am today. When I come down the stairs of my house every Thursday night, my daughter's there, and usually she says, "Dad, you look really good, and you smell good." And that's the part that really means something to me because, for so many years, my kids watched me destroy myself, and not talk to them and not be aware and not be there for them and really just not being a father at all. And now she's telling me, "Dad, you look good, you smell good." Like it makes her happy. It makes her happy to see me happy, and then I'm happy that she's happy. And this thing is just like, it's contagious both ways, and it's awesome. And my wife realizes this. She's realized what AA has done for our family. So for her to go out and buy this suit, she was investing in her own future, right? Because I go up, I take a shower, I go up and I put this suit on, and I walk out of the house feeling like $1 million. And I walk into my home group, and currently I'm the chair there, and I either read the literature or I introduce the speaker or whatever, but it's what I love. I've come to love AA. I've come to love what I do, and I like coming up on any podium and speaking wherever. I volunteer for it. I seek it out because I see what it's done for me, and I see what it can do for other people. So I want to help. I want to do this. It's become instilled in me, and it's become instilled in my family. I heard a speaker once say that he was at some event, and it was some author or something like that, and the author was asked by somebody in the audience, what do you think is the greatest invention of the 20th century? And the author, who's not in recovery, replied, Alcoholics Anonymous is the greatest invention of the 20th century, because usually an alcoholic in his drinking days or her drinking days might affect 7 people on the average. Whether that be your mother or your father or your brothers, your kids, whatever. You're affecting these people. You're bringing them down with you. And they're going out into their lives, and they're going out into their work and their job, and they're bringing those people down, right? Because they have bad attitudes, or they don't like how their life is going, or they're constantly worried about the alcoholic in their family. And then that alcoholic hopefully finds recovery, right? Comes into AA and starts to put on the suit, starts to wear different clothes, starts to help and be helped. And then they bring that home, and then they bring that to their wives, their brothers, their mothers, their fathers, whoever. And then all of a sudden that person's life is getting better. And then all of a sudden they're going to work with some other attitude right? A better attitude. And therefore, this ripple effect of AA goes far and wide, and it's helped it's countless amount of people. You cannot possibly count the amount of people that have been helped by AA. And it's really nice to be a part of that. And it's really nice to be a part of this community. And for that, I'm going to keep wearing this suit. So I am alcoholic. That is why I'm here, right? Once I drink, once I make a decision to drink, or indecisively just drink, I have no power over it. I cannot stop. Once I start, I cannot stop, and I voluntarily and involuntarily ruin my life. I was at a step meeting this morning, and we were on step 12, but there was a couple newcomers in there, so we decided to do step 1. And I raised my hand and I shared about the word admitted, right? Because every time we come in here, we say, "Hi, I'm Brett, and I'm an alcoholic." And I think that admission of that takes away the thunder of the alcoholism. It takes away the thunder of the disease. The more I admit something, the more I acknowledge it, the less it has a control on my life, right? So every time I come into AA, I say, "Hi, I'm Brett, and I'm an alcoholic." And that word admission is extremely important, because it's clear that I'm powerless. I have no choice in the matter. I will drink. But if I am not provided with some other solution, I am going to drink. I have proved that to myself time and time again. There is no other way, and I'm going to explain to you how that works. Okay, I am huge on unmanageability. It is my thing. I like unmanageability, right? I create it on my own, and when I started drinking, I would realize that I could be unmanageable and drink, and I could tell people that my life, if you lived my life, that you would drink like I drink, and I would make excuses for myself so that you might understand why I'm drinking so much. And then when you said, "Okay, Brett, we understand why you drink, because if this happened or that's going on or this is going on, that it's okay for you to drink. We understand." Bingo. Well, then now I have an excuse to drink. And if that cause runs out of steam, well, I'm going to create something else that's a matter in my life. Whether that's a relationship or a court or some kind of trouble, I'm going to cause problems purposefully. It's what I do. I remember stealing like some beers out of a cooler, like at a couple parties. Like I would always sit on the beer cooler, like I was cool and hanging out, and nobody knew what I was doing. And then when I'd wait for the perfect time, and I'd lift a beer out of there, and I'd go drink it, and I'd be like, "It's salty, it's disgusting. I don't know why I'm doing this," but I would just do it anyway. And I don't ever remember like really getting drunk. Not in that situation. But there was moving on into other times. I remember. And it's funny that I'm standing up here wearing this suit, because I remember we decided to get drunk. We wanted to get drunk, and there was like this little bar right by my parents' house, and I was like, "Well, how are we going to do this?" Like we're only like 16, the other kids were like 15. I was like the oldest one. I looked the oldest. I was like, "How are we going to do this?" And I'm just gonna put on my dad's clothes. It's like noon on like a summer day, but I'm gonna put on my dad's clothes, who's like. First of all, he's adopted. He's Italian. I'm adopted. He's like Italian. He's like 6'5". I'm 5'10" when I'm on tippy toes. And there's no way I'm fitting into this guy's clothes. But I'm gonna put this suit on. I'm gonna slick my hair back. I'm gonna put sunglasses on, and I'm gonna tell. This is the reason why I'm walking up to the bars, because I got a DWI. Right? That's my excuse. So, why are you walking here at noon on a Tuesday? Well, because I got out of school, I'm a teacher down the street, and I had this whole concocted lie, right? So I got this suit on, and I walk in there, and I had my birthday all figured out, because you always do the math, right? You're always like, well, if I was born in... Shoot. I don't even know what date it was. But so I went in there, and she was like, "Well, how old are you?" I'm like, "Well, I'm 22. And she's like, "Well, when were you born?" And I totally got it wrong. Whatever the year was, I was off by like 3 years, and thank God she was not good at math. She sold me 2 six-packs of Budweiser. And so I grabbed them, I walked back up to my house, and I jumped back in my regular kid clothes, and we hiked up on the hill, and we overlooked the lake, and we drank this alcohol, right? And I was slamming it back, and then I started to get like that buzz, right? I started to get like drunk for like the first time. And I was like, "This is awesome. This is so cool. Like I'm not really worried about anything right now, right? I'm not worried about what my friends think of me, and who cares what the consequences are going to be for this this adventure with this Budweiser. But this is cool, and I want to feel like this all of the time. And I remember, I don't know, it's a little side note. I don't know why I remember thinking this, but I remember thinking, but if I'm like this all the time, well, then how is that the good part? Because that's just going to be the good part all the time. Like, I have to have some contrast. And I don't remember why I remember that, and I don't remember why I'm telling you that. It might be pointless. It's just something I happened to remember at the time. But that didn't stop me. Okay, so I'm gonna keep drinking, and then I'm gonna do all the things that a 16, 17-year-old kid does when he finds alcohol and is possibly alcoholic like me, right? I cut school, I hung out with the wrong crowd. Often joke around and say I used to look like, I used to dress like Johnny Bender from the Breakfast Club, you know, with the combat boots and the trench coat and the long hair, and didn't brush my teeth very well, and you know, I just thought I was a cool guy. I wasn't. Like, nobody, you know, I didn't go to the prom. Nobody wanted to date me or anything like that. So, because I was like wrecking my life because I was in some other pain from the things that were happening in my family. So I went to a high school like that, and I continued on, right? And I got jobs, and I went to job here and a job there, and all I ever really wanted to do was just get drunk and maybe do some other stuff. You know, my parents caught wind of this a bunch of times. Put me in a bunch of rehabs, a couple halfway houses down by the shore. They made sense for a while. I was introduced to AA, but it obviously wasn't about to stick, right? I just did it because I was made to do it. And I did. I quit for a while. Like, I had this one girlfriend. She just was relentless. And she, you know, we didn't have a lot of money. I was not allowed to buy booze. It was either that or just listen to her all the time, you know, and I just didn't drink. It wasn't worth it. And maybe I just wasn't alcoholic then. I don't really know, but, you know, I was able to put it away for a little bit of time. That relationship didn't work out. And I met this other girl, right? And she would like to party. She liked to have fun. We were a bubbly relationship, and we liked to drink and do our things, and it was great. And then she got pregnant, and then she didn't want to party as much. And then I was like, well, this is a bummer, right? You know, and you know, side note, in my 4-step, I have resentment against my children because they got in the way of my drinking, and that sucks, and it's sad, but it's true, right? And so I was with her for many years, and we had another child, and those kids are a little bit older now, but you know, I still wanted to party, and so did she, but she was clearly more responsible than I was. Right, I owned a trucking company at that point, and all I did was just go to work, drive the truck, come home, and I would drink, right? And she got sick of it, and I got sick of her, of getting sick of me, and the relationship, it was doomed at this point, right? And so I left. I thought that I was going to be like the cool guy, like, I'm out of here. I don't need the kids. I don't need you. I just want to live my life. I want to party. I don't want to be tied down, you know. And I'm spinning out in directions I had no idea. And here it is that I don't realize what the booze is doing to me, right? I don't realize that the decisions I am making are voluntarily and involuntarily ruining my life. You know, I walked away from her, and I walked away from my kids, and I was driving that tractor trailer one day, and I was sitting at some traffic light, and I'm like watching these 2 kids with their mom, like walk across the street, you know, like the hand-in-hand style, and one kid on each side, and like they're skipping and happy and joyous and free, and I'm looking at them, and I'm like, what did you do, right? What did you do, man? Like, where's your kids right now? You don't even know where they are. And I'm like freaking out, like, oh my God. Hey, do you want to get back together? Like, you know, I'm having like an epiphany here. Like, you know, no, I don't want to get back together with you. And I was like, yeah, you do. And then like that turned into like a hot mess, right? And then now not only am I not getting back together with her, and I'm not getting my way, I'm starting to realize that my life is now going to be entirely different, and that I'm probably not going to get back together with this woman. and that I'm not going to be a part of my kids' lives the way that I want to be, right? And to be honest with you, because that's what I'm supposed to do here, is to be honest with you, is that I knew that I wasn't going to be a part of their lives. I knew that they were going to grow up without me because I was so self-centered and so selfish that I could not be a part of their lives without having her as my girl, my wife, my significant other. If I wasn't going to have her, well, then I wasn't going to have them, right? And that's selfish. You know how hard that is to sit up here and say that to you? I gave them up for booze. I gave them up for jealousy. I gave them up for self-centeredness and selfishness, right? And I'm sure that I've warped the lives of my blameless children because of that. I tried really hard to get back with this woman, and I was given the consolation prize in the form of a restraining order, and that's kind of how it went from then on. And I would break this restraining order, and I would get drunk, and I would call her up and be, yeah, you know what you're doing to me, you know, and stuff, and I would just get arrested, and I'd go to jail, and I'd get out of jail, and I would just do it again, right? Because I'm drunk and I can't make proper decisions for myself. And I did a lot of damage. I wrecked a lot of stuff, and I had no choice other than to seek love elsewhere. And that's what I did. I took other women hostage. I remember losing my apartment at one point because I had no money left because I spent it all on booze. And this girl asked me to move in. And she didn't ask me to move in because I was being homeless. She asked me to move in because she loved me. But I didn't love her, but, you know, I was about to be homeless. So, I mean, you know, who falls in love faster than somebody about to be homeless? You know, I'm going to move. Yeah, babe, let's do it. Let's move in. Let's play house. It went horribly wrong, right? It was doomed from the beginning. We went on to have 2 children together, and oh, man. So, you know, whatever. I drank my way through that relationship, and I left, and it was an absolute disaster, right? And so one of those kids, fortunately, died when she was young, and you know what? I look back and I say, maybe it was just better off that way. The other one, I don't know. I've never really met her. I met her once when she was like really young, and it's just a horror story. It's a horror story of family courts and all this other stuff, and it's because I was drinking. And whether or not she had her own mental problems, it doesn't matter. The thing that matters right now is that I was drunk and I was ruining more lives, right? So I met this other woman, and we dated for a couple years, and then I asked her to marry me, right? And we're still married. You know, it's weird, and I put her through hell. Right? She moved in with her kids, her older kids, and I stayed with their mom, but they would visit because I wanted to look like I had my life together. You know, that I had part-time custody or something. You know, visitation, whatever you choose to call it. And she let me drink. She let me drink the way I wanted to drink, and she didn't really make much mention of it. Right? She saw something was wrong, but I was being pretty decent, and I was somewhat happy being with her, and you know, it was what I thought was like a party relationship, you know, and until it wasn't, you know. This went on for a few years, and I had my bad episodes where I'd freak out and I would do some bad things, you know, and say some things, and her children would eventually just moved out, and she formed this huge resentment against me because now she's living with me, and she had gotten married to me at that point, and her kids like moved out because I kind of like forced them to, you know, through my actions. And they didn't want to be around me. They didn't want to watch their mom go through this. You know, it's not like I was beating on her or doing something insane. I was just being a selfish jerk, right? And I hurt her. I hurt her bad, and I scarred her, and you know, and some of that is still around today, right? It's called wreckage of the past, and she ended up moving out like 3 times, you know. She she couldn't take it watching me anymore, and she had to leave. And I'm going to step aside real quick and let you know what I do for a living. I am a union iron worker. I'm in construction. I climb up on buildings. I hang steel. There's two types of iron workers. There are those who drink, and there are those who don't drink anymore. Right? It's so I've been both, and it's a tough industry to be in as in recovery. It gets easier, but it's my sponsor tells me to talk to alcoholics every day, and I do that at 7 a.m. when I get out of the car. Right? They're all around me. Bro, I'm so hungover. And I'm like, there's a solution. They're like, what do you mean? And I'm like, don't worry about it. Forget it. It's so much more fun to mess with them when you're sober, and they're just not getting what you're saying. So gifts of sobriety. So here I am. I'm an iron worker. My wife moves out, and so I'm going to get to my last days of drinking. And this is kind of how the days went, right? On any given day, I would go to work. Let's call it Monday morning, hungover from Sunday, watching football or pretending to watch football or whatever, right? So any excuse to drink, and that's what I would do. I would drink until 11 o'clock at night or 12 o'clock, whenever the booze ran out. And then I would try to go get some sleep, and I'd wake up the next morning, and I would drive down Route 80. And I live in Morris County, New Jersey, and I work close to New York City. So it's that straight shot across the North Jersey there. And then I would get to work, and then like coffee would come, like right around 9 o'clock. We'd all have a little union coffee break, right? And I would have like some water and like a Pop-Tart, bagel, light butter, something like that. And then I would try to eat that, and I would try to keep that down. Right, because my body can't handle anything. It's like disgusted at this point. It's disgusted from what I'm doing the night before, and the dry heaving and all the stuff that goes with it. Right, I can't even keep like water or coffee or bagel down. Like, how pathetic is that? Right, but I'm trying to make it look like I got my stuff together and that I'm a good construction worker and I'm safe and I'm being a good productive member of the team. Right, and then I would hopefully keep that stuff down. I would go back up on the building. I'd work a couple more hours, and then we usually take break at 11:45, right, for lunch. And like right around 11 o'clock, I'd get really mad, right? Get really mad because I knew that in 45 minutes we were going to climb down off this building and we were going to go to the bar, right? In whatever town we're in, whatever city we're working at the time, I'm going to go to the nearest watering hole, and we're going to do this again. And I would get mad, because I knew that I had no choice in the matter, that I'm going to go. Whether I like it or not, I'm going to do it. And 11:45, hey, coffee, lunch, let's go. We run down, we book out of there, because we only got 45 minutes. Got to be back on the building at 12:30 sharp. So we, as quickly as possible, get in the cars or walk up the street, and we get to the bar, and I would sit at that belly up, and I'd say, hey, Budweiser, or whatever. I was mainly a beer drinker. Okay, and I would take that Budweiser or that Heineken, and I would drink it, and then I'd run to the bathroom, and then I would puke it up, right, immediately, because my body is now rejecting it. It doesn't want booze, right? And so I'm puking it up. I'm sweating. I'm tearing. I go outside. I'd smoke a cigarette. I would try to collect myself. And then I'd go back inside of the bar, and everybody, you okay? I'm like, I'm fine, leave me alone. And I'd order another beer and probably a shot, and then I'd get them two down, and I would keep it in there, right? The best way I knew how. Just tough it out. And then a couple minutes would go by, and then it was game on, right? Everything was okay. My body said, okay, we're drinking, we're accepting it, and now it's time to run. Right, so now as many beers and shots as I can drink in that 25 minutes or whatever, and then I grab a 6-pack to run down to the building. We go back up on the building. We drink that 6-pack or so. Do some other stuff. 3 o'clock, we come off the building. We get in a car. We'd start driving, and I'd get on the side road there, and I'd stop at the liquor store, and we'd grab a 12-pack for the way home, and right down Route 80, right, drinking 12-pack. When the trucks would drive by, that was the time to drink. Right, because nobody could see into your car, like I'm slick or something. Like I figured some way out to drink and drive, without people looking at me. Route 80 is a busy place, And so I would drive home, and I lived about 45 minutes away, and I would get up to where I lived, and I would go into the liquor store and I'd buy another 12-pack. And then I would go home, and I would put that 12-pack in the fridge before kissing my wife, and then I would grab a beer out of the 12-pack, I'd open it real quick, I'd drink half of it, and then be like, hey babe, how's it going? And she'd be like, oh yeah, what's up, how's your day, blah, 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 and then I'd give her a kiss, right? And then I'd be like, man, she's smelling the booze from now, like, right? That's why I would take the sip out of the bottle, so that she would be fooled. I mean, she knew everything that I was doing, every little thing. She knew where I kept all the empties, because I would hide the empties. I wouldn't hide the full ones. I would hide the empties, so she wouldn't know how much I was drinking. She knew everything. There was me hiding nothing, right? So she moves out, because this is not sustainable. This type of life is not sustainable. For her to come home at 9 or 10 o'clock at night, she's a hairdresser, she'd work late, she'd come home and she'd find me passed out on the kitchen floor. That's not where I fell down. That's where I laid down to like cuddle with my dog, and then my dog would leave me. And then I would just be left there. So when she got there, she didn't see the whole picture. You know, she would have understood if she knew the dog was there only an hour before. So she just finds me passed out. She doesn't want any more of this life. She's got to go, right? She comes over one day. I was like laid off from work. She comes over and she's like, you're going to rehab. And I'm like, all right, you know, screw it. I don't know what else I got to do here, you know? I'm like, I'm tired. So she starts doing like the insurance thing with the phone numbers and the calling, and she's doing all this work, and she sat there for a good 6 hours, you know, trying to get me into rehab. And she's like, all right, I got you a bed, and you're going to Carrier Clinic, which I think is like Hillsborough, New Jersey over here. It's not far, right? And I was like, I'm not going there. What do you mean you're not going there? I said, well, that place is a dump, right? And I don't know if you guys ever been to Carrier Clinic. You know, disclaimer, I've never been there. I don't know what it looks like. I don't know anybody who's been there or what what they do there. I just know it's a rehab, and immediately I passed judgment on it because I didn't want to go, right? And she's like, I can't believe I just wasted all this time, you know. I'm leaving. She left. She went home, right? I brought her out one night when I was speaking. And I can tell you, if you go on a speaking commitment and you bring your significant other, that you should use discretion and maybe not tell every single story. But she corrected me on the way home about a lot of stuff, right? And one of those things was, well, I thought that when she left that day after the Carrier Clinic incident, that the next day that I called the number on the back of the card that she conveniently left there next to the fridge. That's not true. Two weeks went by before I called the number. I don't know where the 2 weeks went. They just went. Like, I don't know. I just don't know if I slept the whole time. I don't know if I was drunk. I'm assuming some things happened. I don't really know. But I called the number on the back of the card. I came down out of my bedroom one day and I was just on my knees and I just needed help. I just could not live like this anymore. And I called the number. And the lady was like, we're going to get you on a plane to Las Vegas. And I was like, huh? Las Vegas? Like, is that, I mean, what unbelievable sobriety they have out there. There's meetings around the clock. It's awesome. As much drinking and drugging as Las Vegas has, they have just that same amount of sobriety. It's incredible. I went to rehab there. It was awesome. Got on this plane. I went out there. I didn't even drink on the airplane. I didn't drink at the airport. I didn't drink at the airport when I got there. The only thing that I felt was relief that I didn't have to do this anymore, and that I was going to get fed. And I was going to get some nutrition in my body. And I got to rehab and I was like, I am going to do this. I'm going to stay sober. This is cool. I feel good. And when I get home, I'm going to go back to AA. I'm going to work a program of Alcoholics Anonymous. I'm going to do the steps. I'm going to get a sponsor. I'm going to sponsor other guys. I'm going to be the best AA person that ever existed ever in the history of AA. And that was my intention. I truly believe that was what I was about to do. And I came home, and Kristen welcomed me back into her life, and she moved back in, and I did AA. And I picked this guy as a sponsor because he was a union operating engineer. And I figured when things got tough and I didn't want to talk about what we really needed to talk about, that we could just talk about work, right? And And that was the wrong reason I picked a sponsor. But that's what I did. And then I started going to AA meetings, and then I started looking around, and I was like, I don't really like the parking at this AA meeting, so I'm not going to come back here. And then I go to the next meeting, and I was like, I don't even like how you guys set up your chairs. It's really stupid, right? And I wouldn't go back there, and I was like, and then I'm making up excuses like, that guy is wearing a yellow shirt, and I don't really like yellow shirts, so I'm not going to that meeting. And the next thing I know, I'm not going to any meetings. I can't find any meetings that I like or want to be a part of. My program is now falling apart. Life is starting to take its changes again, right? And then we decided to move. We thought that, we'd move down to Morris County, New Jersey, and we'd be closer to the kids and civilization, because we lived pretty far out. And then now I'm in a new county, in a new part of the state, and I have zero program. I have nothing to do with AA. I know where like the meetings are. I know that there's an app. I know how to find them, right? I'm not entirely unschooled. I know what to do, and if I seek them out, I will find them. But, I wasn't really trying that hard. The thing that like got me the most was when my wife turned to me and said, I wish you would just go back to drinking. And I was like, what do you mean? She goes, then I could understand why you were acting the way that you're acting. Because you're acting like you're drunk. But I can see that you're not drinking, right? She doesn't understand. She doesn't understand that without this solution, that I have nothing. That it's just Brett. It's just raw Brett with no booze, no God, no steps, no sponsor, and I'm screwed. And she doesn't want any part of it. One day we got in a fight and I threw a pillow at her. You know the little cute little pillows that women put on the end of the couches. I think they call them throw pillows. That's what I did. Right? I threw it at her, and it was out of haste, and it was out of, it wasn't good. And if you want to call it domestic violence, that's fine, right? Because it wasn't done jokingly. She told me to get out. And I said, well, fine, I'll leave. She goes, no, right now. And I was like, whoa, we can work this out, babe. And she's like, no, there's nothing to work out. Like, you're done. Like, get out of the house. Like, I bought the first house, and that was my mortgage and my house and my deed. We switched because of the transfer. Now this is her house, her mortgage, her deed. And I don't have a choice in the matter. I'm leaving, whether I like it or not. And I did. I chose to leave. Because she told me to. And it's kind of weird. Like when I broke up with the one that I had the kids with, right? I moved into like this blue house on Route 46, and I nearly killed myself in that house, right? With the drinking and the drugging and the depression, and a lot of bad things happened in that house, and because of me. And right across the street, I would have like these moments of desperation, and right across the streets every Thursday night, they would have a speakers meeting at this Knights of the Columbus. And I would go over there every once in a while, usually right before or after a restraining order was delivered. And I would go over there, and these people were wearing suits, and they were happy, and they were hey, how's it going? Nice to see you. You need a sponsor? I'm like, well, get out of here, but I'd go over there, and I obviously it didn't take, right? And that's right here. And the geography is important. That's why I'm telling you this. This house is across the street from this speakers meeting, right? And many years later, when I'm in this new house, which is not far away, I'm being thrown out of. I go to this hotel, right? And this little hotel, this little comfort inn. I'm in there, and I'm making the choice. I'm making the choice of whether I'm going to drink or I am going to go to AA. That's it. There's nothing else to do. I am now homeless. I don't have anything. All I have is my car. I have a job or whatever. Great. I got money in the bank because I keep working and all this other stuff. But really, I have nothing. I've lost everything. So I'm at this hotel, and I decide that this is only a quarter mile up from the Blue House and a quarter mile up from the speakers meeting. So I go across the street to this church, and I go to this discussion meeting. And what they do in that meeting, it's on Sundays at 6:30, they go around this table and they talk about all the things they did to stay sober that week. And when it got to me, I said, "Hi, I'm Brett, and I'm an alcoholic." And I didn't do any of those things, right? They all said how they read out of the big book, how they did step work, how they called their sponsor at their appropriate time, that they prayed, they meditated, they did daily reflections, right? I didn't do any of that stuff. And I'm like, I'm miserable. You know, my life sucks. I suck. And then these guys start coming up to me after the meeting, right? And they were like, the first guy was like, "Hey man, you know, how you doing?" And I was like, "Leave me alone," you know? And he was like, "Do you want my phone number?" I said, "No, I'm not going to call you." And he was like mortified, like he was waiting for like some positive response. Like apparently his sponsor sent him over to like console me and get me, you know, and I just tortured the poor guy. This other guy comes over, he's like this tall, his ears are like that big, right? And he's like, "Dry is good, man, dry is good." And I'm like, "Dude, your ears, like, dude, get away from me." That guy ended up being like the coolest guy I've ever known. He passed away in the spring, and he had like 45 years of sobriety, and he's helped more people than I've ever met. And he was one of the coolest people, rest his soul. His name's Bill. And he was like, "Okay, whatever." And this other guy walks over and he's like, "Hey man, you can go back out there and drink, or," and he's like looking over my shoulder at the steps because I happen to be standing in the same perspective as if he was standing right here. He's looking past me at the steps, and I can see that he's looking at the steps. I know that they're there. And he says to me, "You can go out there and you can have all the pain you want, or you can come in here and have some more pain and then some freedom." And I was like, whoa, right? I'm like, freedom. Now that sounds like something I want. I want freedom. So what do I got to do? He's like, "I don't know." Just like walks away, right? And I'm like, you know, "Hey man, you can't just like run away from me." Like, and I'm like hanging on his coattails, like, "Hey mister," you know, and he's walking through the hallways and he's cleaning out the coffee can, you know, the big urn, and he's doing all this stuff, and I'm like, and I'm asking him questions, and I'm talking with him, and you know, he's kind of blowing me off, but he's answering, he's like toting me along, you know, and we got to the parking lot, and I'm like, "Hey man, would you be my temporary sponsor?" And he's like, "No." And I'm like, "What, aren't you supposed to say yes in AA? Isn't that what like AA has taught us?" But I'm like sizing him up, and I'm looking at him like, this dude's like serious about AA. Maybe it's the word temporary. And it is. I said, "Hey man, would you just be my sponsor?" And he said, "Yeah, I'll be your sponsor. You're gonna call me tomorrow, 3:15 on the dot. You're gonna meet me at a meeting of my choosing once a week. You're gonna work steps. And you're gonna sponsor other guys, and you can't drink." And I was like, okay. That guy spoke here on October 1st. His name is Doug P. He's still my sponsor. And I have the utmost respect for that man. Because I do. I call him every day at 3:15 still, right? And every day he answers. And he has taught me how to do AA. He has taught me how to sponsor. He has taught me how to live my life. And there's a lot of times that I disagree with what he's got to say, but I never show it. I just say yes. And he's never let me down. My wife has the utmost respect for Doug. I have a relationship with a man that I would normally never have anything in common with. I think he runs a school district or something like that, and I don't even know how he votes. I have no idea what sports team he likes. I don't ask. I have no opinions on anything in his life. He only has opinions on things in my life, and I only tell him about things that are pertinent to AA and how my patterns of thinking and the things that I do to myself affect my sobriety. Example, picking on my wife about how she loads the dishwasher. Okay? Now it seems medial. Right? Why is he telling me this? Why is he telling me about the dishwasher? I'm going to tell you why, because in the big book it says that we all have reservations. And my reservation is that if my wife ever leaves, or God forbid that she dies, that I don't have to do AA anymore, and I don't have to live this life, and I can go drink and not be accountable to anybody. All I have to do is just change my number, and I will, AA will just disappear, and I can drink, and I can do all the things that I think I want to do. So sometimes I pick on her about how she loads the dishwasher, because my disease has long game. It's thinking about 10 years from now that, every time I pick on her about that dishwasher loading, that it's deteriorating my relationship with her. That I am doing things, I am voluntarily ruining my life so that I eventually drink. Because if she goes, what do I have left? Right? Does that mean that if she was to get hit by a bus today that I would drink? It doesn't mean that at all. It just means that it's there and that it should be acknowledged. I'm admitting that I have that problem. I'm admitting that I sometimes ruin my own life in hopes that she'll leave me and then I'll have an excuse to drink. And that's sick. That's 6 years of sobriety, and I still think like that sometimes. It doesn't mean that I'm acting on it. It doesn't mean that I'm going to go out and do something insane like that. It just means that it's still there. And every time I tell my sponsor about it, or every time I take a guy through the book and we get to the part where it talks about reservations, I stop. And I make sure that we end the night at that paragraph. And I ask them to think about their reservations. What is your reservation? What are you holding back on? What is the one thing, what is the one excuse that you're going to use to drink? And a lot of times they'll say, well, if this was to happen or that, okay, that's cool, but I still want you to take a week to think about it. I want you to come back with some other stuff. And 9 times out of 10 they do. And that doesn't mean they're going to drink if these things happen, but it just means that we have to acknowledge it. I currently sponsor 5.5 guys. And if you were to line them all up in front of us right now and say, well, which one's the half? I wouldn't be able to tell you, because on each particular day, they change. Sometimes it's this guy, sometimes it's that guy, right? Because none of us do AA perfectly. And if we say that we do, well, then I think we're lying to ourselves. At least I am. I was speaking on a Zoom commitment a couple weeks ago, and after I was done speaking, the guy asked me to stand up because I was wearing the jacket and tie, and he wanted to see if I was wearing the pants part. And he had me dead to rights. Totally wearing like gym shorts, And he was I didn't stand up, I didn't show him, I just said nobody does AA perfectly. Right? So we got a couple minutes left, and I want to tell you about what my life is like right now, because this is amazing, and I think that God works in my life in the most mysterious of ways. When I was telling you about the Blue House and the speaker meeting across the street and the discussion meeting where they go around the room and the Comfort Inn that was across the street, they're all within a quarter mile of each other, and that's the Working with Others group. Right? That's the group that I'm a part of now. That's the group that I put the suit and tie on for, and that's the group that I'm a part of, and it has truly changed my life, right? I was talking about how I was adopted, and it definitely affected me in my life. Some people have good adoption stories. I don't. I was abused a lot of different ways, and it sucked. And I don't even talk to those people anymore. My last name is Giamanco, and I'm Italian. I'm not Italian. The last name is, and it's always been like that skit on Sesame Street, where they show the 3 cupcakes and the cookie, and they're like, which one of these is not like the others? That was me, right? I was not like the others, and I never felt a part of to anything in my life. And then I got sober, right? And my relationship with my wife is really good. My daughter, who I never got to spend a lot of time with, she lives with me. And my other son, he's in Las Vegas. He's a bartender, and I think he's out there creating his 4th step, not writing it, creating it, right? And here I am living this sober life, and then you know, my ex does like the Ancestry.com thing on my children. And I was like, well, you know, maybe I should do that. And, you know, I don't want to be the missing link to something, you know, like maybe I should do this. Like I've always thought about doing it. Like, why not do it now? You know, this is 2 years ago and I did it. And this guy like pops up and he's like my first cousin, which is also uncle. I don't know why that means anything, but he was like, how do I know you? And I'm like, you don't, dude. And I'm like, you don't know me. Like we're just this Ancestry.com. I don't know who you are. It says we're related. And he's like, oh. He's like, you look like somebody I know. And I was like, you gotta be kidding me. All right, he's like, do you mind if I investigate? Like, I wanna go check some stuff out, you know, and I'll get back to you. And I was like, do whatever you wanna do, man. And so he gets back to me a couple weeks later. He's like, listen, there's a couple people that kind of look like you and I want to have them take DNA tests. Would that be all right with you? And I said, you just do whatever you want. I'm like, there's, you know, you're not gonna hurt my feelings. And so he does this thing and he does the DNA out there, and I was born in Illinois and that's where he's at, and he's talking to these people, and then like he comes back and he's like, welcome to the family, right? And he's like, you know, I'm your uncle, and my half brother is your father, and he's taken the DNA test and it's come back, and you know, I look on the website and there it is. It says, you know, Michael H, and I'm like, oh my God. So I Google him, right? And my brother pops up, and it was just like mugshot, you know, and I'm like, I don't think that's him, you know. It turns out that he's my brother, but you know, whatever. We all make mistakes, right? So I start getting like, you know, they send me a picture of this guy, and spitting image. I mean, you want to talk about doppelganger? I mean, like, just looks like me. I look like him. I met him on Zoom. It was the oddest thing to look into a computer and see myself in 20 years, because I'm going to look like him. And just a month ago, Kristen and I, we flew to Indianapolis and then drove 2 hours into Illinois, and we met my father, right? We met my brother, we met my sister, my niece, you know, my nephews. We had a big party. My uncle brought It's a Boy balloon to the to the event, right? And then the next day we went to the park, and I'm like, hey, Dad, you want to push me on the swings? And he did. He's out there, 72 years old, like pushing me. My brother's like, hey, I want to. He's like, I'll treat you boys the same. Come down here. And he's pushing us both on the swings, you know. And 40-year-old, you know, 40-something-year-old guys being pushed on the swing by a 72-year-old guy. And I said, this is AA. This is what AA has done for me, right? It has filled a hole in my heart because I no longer drink. I'm no longer ruining myself. And not only did I do that, but I picked up a family, right? All of my woes melted away. My wife said, I've never seen you so relaxed ever, right? Here I am hanging out with people who are just like me. I've always wanted a sister. Well, I got a sister. I always wanted a brother that I could relate with. I can relate with my brother. I spoke to him on my way here, right? I wanted a dad. I've been learning how to play bass for 4 years now. Well, you know what he does? He plays bass. He's been a bassist for his whole life. That's what he does, right? And he's alcoholic. And he has been through all the same things that I've been through. He's had children with multiple women, and he's done crazy things, and he's been all over to the U.S., and he's slept in, you know, this and that and the other thing, and he's lived the exact same life. You know, and I tell you this because I made a comment to these guys over here, right before the meeting, which is put your AA seatbelt on and watch where your life goes, because you have no idea. I can tell you that for certain, if I was to act on that reservation that I previously mentioned, that I know where my life will be, right? I will be in the gutter. I will have kidney failure. I will wreck my life. I will eventually die. This disease will eventually kill me. But if I don't drink, well, then sky's the limit, right? I mean, I just told you like an awesome story. I have no idea what's going to happen tomorrow. I know that if I drink, it definitely won't happen. But I'm gonna go home tonight, and I'm gonna feel really good about what I did here tonight, right? I'm gonna drive home. I'm gonna feel like $1 million, and this is way better than drinking. Right? We've all drunk. We've all been drunk. We know what it feels like, but this is better. It just takes like a little bit more work, right? And maybe we'll send out that ripple effect, right? Try to help 7 more people. Thanks for having us down here. I really appreciate you. Thank you.
Okay, good evening, everyone. My name is Brian. I'm an alcoholic. Grateful to be here tonight. Grateful to be sober. Brett, thank you for coming to our group tonight and delivering just a powerful message of hope and recovery. We're right at the hour, so a couple quick announcements and we'll wrap it up. The food and the fellowship, as said, does start for this group at 8 o'clock, so feel free to show up early, hang out with us. If you want to do some service work, even better. There's a meeting after the meeting, as I said. If you want to help put away some chairs or help out in the kitchen over there, it is greatly appreciated. But more importantly, if you're out there and if you're new or if you're struggling with something or if you've been coming around for a while and it's just not working for you the way that Brett was talking about in his story, there'll be a group of us hanging out. Grab someone after the meeting, hang out, get involved. And our speakers do come here on their own time and expense, so it's usually customary for us to form a line and thank our speakers personally. Let's give one more round of applause for Brett. And if you do care to join us, we have a nice way of closing.